y'all, and welcome back to another new video. So this is the third and final video in my little series on the three Black sisters. So if you haven't seen the segments that I did on Bellatrix and Narcissa, definitely go check those out. And today we are going to be talking about Andromeda. And hers is definitely going to be much shorter because we definitely do not have as much information on her as we do on the other two. But definitely don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe. Check out my description box for all my other social media, and we can jump right in. So Andromeda was the middle child of Cygnus and Joella Black, and she was born in the early 50s. I couldn't find an exact birth year. And we don't know a ton about her childhood, but we do know that she was closest with her cousin Sirius out of her whole family, which kind of makes sense because they were the two that didn't really believe what the rest of the family believed, even from a young age. But she did go to Hogwarts between the mid-60s and early 70s, and she was sorted into Slytherin. And she was skilled at charms and defense against the dark arts at her times there, which both of those skills show up later in her life as well. And during school, she meets and falls in love with Muggle-born Ted Tonks, and when they graduate, they get married. And her falling in love with him at school definitely further shows that she did not believe in the pure blood supremacy even from a young age. And so when she marries Ted, she is disowned and completely cut off from her family. Everyone cuts her off. Basically, like, Sirius was the only one that accepted her, but then he ends up in Azkaban pretty soon anyway, so she didn't really have him. And when she's 20 years old-ish, because I'm not exactly sure the exact year she was born, but in 1973, she gives birth to Nymphadora, her only daughter. And we know from Nymphadora that Andromeda has a great talent for cleanliness, so that's kind of that charms showing up. And because her daughter becomes an Auror, Andromeda worries about her constantly, because especially during like the first Wizarding War and the second one, it's probably pretty dangerous to be an Auror. And even though Andromeda herself was not an official Order member, she did allow members to use her home as sort of like a safe house. And if you remember in the book, she actually heals Hagrid's wounds after the Battle of the Seven Potters. I don't think Andromeda is in the movies at all. Casey's shaking his head no, that he doesn't think she is either, because he's pretty much only seen the movies and read the first two books. And in August of 1997, when the Ministry was overtaken, the magical protections around safe houses were broken, which allowed Death Eaters to find their house. And so Andromeda and Ted were interrogated and tortured by Death Eaters for information about Harry and the Order, but she didn't give any of it up, which kind of shows her skill at defense against the dark arts, because she was able to keep her head about her while being tortured. And so they did both live through this experience, but soon after, Tonks moves back home pregnant, because, and this is another thing we leave out of the movies, because Lupin temporarily leaves her when he finds out that she's pregnant, because he's like freaking out that he's gonna pass on being a werewolf to his kid, which, like, okay, I kind of understand, but like, seriously, you're gonna leave your like pregnant wife alone? And when Muggle-borns begin to become persecuted by the Ministry, Ted had to go on the run because he's a Muggle-born and he didn't want to register. Because Andromeda was a pureblood, she was luckily able to stay home with Tonks and like take care of her pregnant daughter. But sadly, Ted was captured and murdered by Snatchers, so she is left widowed. And then soon afterwards, Tonks and Remus are murdered in the Battle of Hogwarts, so she's left. Her husband and her daughter die within a year. And this leaves her to raise her grandson Teddy, but luckily Harry and the Weasleys help out a lot. And that's pretty much all we know about her. Presumably she's still alive, raising Teddy. He'd be like a young adult by now. And so that's really all I have about her. And I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments what videos you want to see in the future. And until next time, bye y'all.